Hello everyone, Neil back once again with another quick film review for you. And today I'm going to be taking a look at Godzilla Minus One, the highly acclaimed film from Japan. And it is directed by Takashi Yamazaki, who also wrote the film and did some of the visual effects as well, which are very, very impressive. It stars Ryunosuke Kamiki, Minami Hamabe, Yuki Yamada, and many others. I don't want to butcher these names too much. But the cast is very, very good here. And I'm so happy that Toho Studios and Robot Communications have brought us a straight-up kaiju horror film that really makes us care about the humans, especially since this is set right after World War II, right? So we feel for these people, just as they're starting to recover from the war, this whole new threat, this monster emerges, and this is a threat they may not be able to stop. So Godzilla Minus One, it is a whole new reboot. It's not related to any other Godzilla film, as far as I can see. It does have elements of Jaws and Jurassic Park, a bit. And of course, the original 1954 Godzilla film by Toho. It's definitely one of the best Godzilla giant monster movies ever, mainly because of the way that it is done. There's so much skill with the direction, the editing, and certainly the visual effects and performances too. The story is somewhat predictable, but the direction is impeccable, and visual effects, certainly both of those things, they deserve some trophies, I think. This is a better film than you may expect. Spoiler alert, yes, I will be spoiling much more of this story, so just a heads up. Alright. So Ryunosuke Kamiki stars as Koichi Shikishima, and he's a kamikaze pilot who is on a beach on this island called Odo Island. He feels guilt for not only wanting to not die by ramming his plane into the enemy, kamikaze style, right? But also for not firing on Godzilla when it shows up on the beach and kills several soldiers. He never really had a chance to beat Godzilla anyway. Godzilla seems pretty invulnerable to any kind of attack. He winds up returning to his village, and he is essentially forced to take care of a baby that a woman named Noriko hands him. He later finds her, and he allows them both to stay at his place. He then joins the crew of a wooden mine disarming boat, and they inevitably encounter Godzilla and barely escape with their lives. Godzilla later attacks the city of Ginza, where Noriko is presumed killed. Now, former naval engineer Kenji Noda has a plan to destroy Godzilla by luring it out to deep waters, and then surrounding it with these freezing tanks, these Freon tanks, and blowing them up, or like rupturing them. It lowers the water's buoyancy, sinking the monster. So they think that the pressure will crush it. Although, if that doesn't work, then they're gonna attach these balloons to him and bring him up to the surface, and then and that should crush him with the pressure, right? Yeah, right. So explosive decompression is their plan here, and basically freezing him and blowing him up that way. It seems like a pretty clever plan. I mean, it may not be super 100% realistic, but this is their best idea. Shikishima, he recruits a master mechanic named Tachibana, and he repairs this broken fighter plane that Shikishima plans on fulfilling his, duty as a kamikaze pilot. He plans on killing Godzilla in this suicide attack by flying right into him and detonating the explosive charges, these bombs that they have on board. He winds up leaving his little girl Akiko in the care of his neighbor Sumiko. So the attack begins, and Shikishima is luring the trap set by the two destroyers. It survives the first initial attack, and it survives coming back up as well, to the surface. So the pressure thing did not work. It then revs up its heat ray, which is really cool. It's this cool sound effect. It's like vroom, 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 like a generator, really cool. And it attempts to kill everyone, but Shikishima, the brave pilot, crashes the plane into his mouth and destroys its head, causing the energy of the heat ray to basically rip the Godzilla apart. The crew celebrates, and it turns out that Shikishima also ejected before the explosion, and he parachutes to safety. Shikishima visits a hospital later after everyone's celebrating and saying, "You did it," he goes to this hospital with Akiko and finds out that Noriko is still alive as well. She somehow survived the destruction, but she has this like an eye injury and a black bruise on her neck and stuff. Meanwhile, at the very, very end of the movie here, there's a little bit of Godzilla's flesh that's floating in the water as it's sinking into the ocean, but it actually seems to be regenerating. So we get a little bit of that foreshadowing earlier when they try to blow up Godzilla with a mine and he just regenerates any damage, like Deadpool or Wolverine or something. He could just, he's got quite the healing factor there on Godzilla. So, yeah, I mean, it does set up a likely sequel, the idea that Godzilla could reform after being blown apart like this, like the T-1000 in Terminator 2. Why not, right? Why not? A sequel is very likely because it has been a tremendous box office hit. Critically, and certainly word of mouth has gotten around, and a lot of people are now interested in seeing this movie. So definitely the best looking Godzilla movie so far, and that's saying something, with so many Godzilla films out there. I think that the cast is really, really so good here. Even the little girl, Akiko, they really do genuinely evoke an emotional response from the audience. No matter the language, I mean, yes, this is a subtitled film, of course, and that's the best way to watch it. I wouldn't want to really see a dubbed version of this one. Though if you are allergic to subtitles, you have my sympathy. Maybe they'll make a dubbed version. They probably will for people that prefer that. There's a black and white version actually coming out in Japan later in 2024, so that'll be interesting if it makes its way over here to the West. The director and the visual effects, both the same guy, really. They deserve, award consideration for sure. Everybody that worked on these effects and the look of the film, the sound effects, like everything's so top notch here. It's just a perfectly executed Godzilla movie. And I think they do work better when they are set in Japan. There's something about, American actors that kind of take you out of it sometimes when they're in there. And it's like, oh, hey, it's Bryan Cranston. You kind of forget about like, oh, he's gone through this tragic stuff with Godzilla, this big disaster. We tend to care more about these actors and characters because we've never really seen them before in the West. Like it's true. Like they're more convincing because it's not some Hollywood face we've already seen a million times. I guess I think that is a benefit here. But yeah, definitely should be up for awards consideration. This is one badass Godzilla. He is not a friendly Godzilla. He's stomping on people. He's killing people left and right. He's the bad guy here. But he's also the star, really. And I do think this film should be seen by all film fans. Not just, Godzilla, kaiju monster movies or anything like that. But yeah, it should be seen by everyone. And it really doesn't drag for a second. It's wonderfully paced. Great Godzilla film. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to this review of Godzilla -1. And until next time, peace.